Hey y'all, I'm the Jed. Today I want to talk with you about 1 year of ownership of my BMW R1200GS Adventure. It's been just under a year. I thought I would do a review of the bike now that I've had it and can give you honest impressions after riding it just about 3,500 miles. Not a lot, enough to get a general impression of the bike. And I'll tell you, it's a 2017, so it had a few miles on it when I got it. Nothing much. I think it had about 6,000 miles on it when I purchased it. So overall, I love the bike. Absolutely love the bike. I want to talk with you about my favorite sort of broad 3 things that I like about it. The first being comfort. I'm an older guy, and comfort is important to me. It's a really neutral, upright riding position. It's got a comfortable seat that I can ride in really all day without any particular hot spots or pain in my butt. It'd be nice. I mean, I could see how a custom-made seat would be nice, but so far so good with this one. Second, it's not too heavy. This is again part of the broad theme of comfort. I'm coming off a K1600 that weighed, I think like 840 pounds or so. So I don't know, I'm like 300 pounds lighter than that. I rode a Road King years ago, another super heavy bike. So for me, even at 500 plus pounds, the GS Adventure is a nice, reasonable weight. Let's move on to the second thing I like about it, is the way it handles. And that's, easy to understand why. Suspension wise, it's the the good old paralever telelever combination shaft drive. In terms of engine, it's the tried and true water cooled 1200 boxer engine. It's got just a really broad torque curve and nice power. You're at 120-ish horsepower, and I think the torque spec is around there too. It's got all the power I need. And brakes. It's got those nice twin radial mounted Brembos up front, 4-piston and 2-piston Brembo in the back, and it really stops on a dime. The braking is really impressive, particularly along with the technology in that lean sensitive ABS and the lean sensitive rider modes, and traction control. So I really impressed with the way this bike handles. And then the third favorite thing about it is it's a good looking bike. And I think let's stop there and let's just take a quick look at the bike. Now look, this is a real rider's garage. I was gonna try to clean it up and make it appear as though it were something that it's not. I had a great weekend. My son and I took the CRFs out and tore it up on the trails and had a blast. And then today I went on a nice long ride with my buddy Kenny. Unfortunately, my audio from that ride just sucked, and so you're getting a 1 year review today instead of some good video, but really poor audio. But I just think this is a great looking bike. I couldn't be happier with the way it looks. This one is white, and it's got the red R1200 on it. Pretty much stock. I did put, you can't really see, unfortunately we're too dark, but I've got some Denali LEDs that I put on it myself, but otherwise a pretty stock bike. I do have the aluminum bags for it. Those came with it when I bought it. I rarely use them, but I do use the top box all the time, and it's really handy. Mine is probably pretty junky right now, but it's great for carrying around what you need. I've got some extra gloves in here right now. half-drunk water bottle, some warmth for when I need it. But all in all, really pretty bike. So let's talk about some misconceptions I had before I bought the bike and before I became an R1200GS Adventure rider. I would say the first one is I didn't realize how comfortable this bike is or how well it performs. Everybody called it the Swiss Army knife of bikes, but I always take stuff like that with a grain of salt. I knew it was going to be a good bike, but I really didn't realize how capable this thing is, particularly in the canyons. I have to say, it makes me look like I'm a better rider than I am. The way the suspension and that engine and the technology come together on this bike, it is a great canyon carver. And I used to get passed every once in a while by guys on GSs in the canyons, and I just figured they're, good riders must just really be riding those GSs. The reality is I don't know how great those riders work because I'm not so great, but this bike makes me look better than I am in the canyons. Second, I thought this bike was going to make me an adventure rider. I figured I'd get this thing, I'd meet up with some other GS riders, and I'd be off riding dirt as much as street. I really kind of thought maybe I'll end up a 50-50 rider, and the reality is I haven't ridden it once in the dirt. I mean, here and there a little bit of dirt road for one reason or another. Always completely tame. And look, the reason for that is this bike, even though I said it's a comfortable weight, it's a comfortable weight for the street. It is not a comfortable weight for the dirt. It is way too heavy, in my opinion. You can ride it in the dirt if you know how. I won't do it. Maybe some tame fire roads, but that would be it. I'll stick to dirt bikes for the dirt. If you're gonna ride these things in the dirt, if you think you're gonna, I would strongly suggest you go get in one of those rawhide classes or another adventure riding class and learn how, and understand you're gonna drop this bike and it's gonna scratch it up. And if you want to keep it pretty, it's gonna be hard, if not impossible, and it's gonna be expensive if you want to repair it. But if you're willing to drop it and pick it up, and if you're willing to scratch it up, I guess go for it. But I can tell you right now, I'm not going to be doing that. And it doesn't matter because it's so fantastic on the street, in the canyons, and long distance. And then I guess lastly, the luggage. I don't know. I always thought that these aluminum saddlebags were cool looking and super functional. I just don't use them a lot, except for the top box. They are, they're usable, and they do stick out. They're wide, so here in California, not real fun to split lanes with them, although I've done it. And you can get a good amount of stuff in them, but I just find I have very little use for them. On trips, yes, but the rest of the time, no. And then I guess lastly, I just want to talk about the very few and frankly very minor complaints I have about this bike. And really these are nits to pick, nothing really more. The first one is the display on my bike, which is a 2017, the dash. It's like analog and Soviet era LED, I guess. Really poor, and they've fixed that with the TFT displays that are on the bikes now, and I knew that going in, so it was not a surprise to me. And I guess compounding that is the way that the Navigator mounts. It pretty much blocks half your tachometer, but I knew that too. It is what it is. Second nit is that the windshield adjustment on this bike is sloppy to me. If you have it anywhere but fully down, there's just play in it. Not horrible, and it does not move around while you're riding. It's just hard to really get a precise to me, a precise location in the middle if that's what you're aiming for. Again, it's a nit. And then lastly, and maybe the most annoyingly, well, there's a neighbor doing something in the backyard. Most annoyingly is the valve stems on the tires. In the front, it's just a straight up and down valve stem, and you have very tight clearance between the top of the valve stem and the bottom of the brake disc, and so it's almost impossible to get in fact, I can't get an air compressor, what am I thinking of, a nozzle to fit in there. I ended up putting right angle extenders on my valve stems. I wish these had right angle valve stems like some of the other BMWs do. That was just a blow it, I think. But again, minor. Lastly, just some advice if you're in the market for a GS Adventure, particularly if you haven't ridden one. First, be careful presuming you're gonna want to ride this thing in the dirt. Really give that a lot of thought, and if you really are intent on riding in the dirt, I would suggest you do some shopping around, because this may not be the bike you want. Second, the 1200 versus 1250 issue. 1250s came out in 2019, and you look, it's a quicker engine, but not by much, and frankly, on the road, I'm riding with guys on 1250s virtually every time I ride mine. They're not walking away from me at all. I don't frankly think it's noticeable. So up to you. I mean, 1250 with the shift cam in it is the latest and greatest. You know, I don't know that it's worth the cost at this point, when you look at what prices are on the used 1200s, which leads me to my one bit of advice for buyers, and that is, I think if I were buying today, I would look for a used 2018 with low miles that has the TFT display, and not all of them do. It was an option, I believe, in 2018, but if you could find one low miles with the TFT display and that comes with the aluminum bags, that's the way to go, particularly if you think you want those bags. I would argue you don't need, the top case is nice. I would argue you don't need the side bags, and you could get by with soft bags on the side, which frankly might be better on a trip, particularly a trip that's going to include dirt, but up to you. That's just the Jed's advice. If you've stuck around this long, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for visiting the channel. I hope you'll consider subscribing. I hope you'll leave comments below, because I'm trying to improve the channel and I'm really trying to improve the content. That's it for today. Thanks a lot.